Hi, and welcome back. I'm just going to first and foremost start this by saying I am not going to talk about anything political. I've had enough debates inside of my DMs, and honestly, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted with all of the nonsense that I'm seeing online, all the negativity. I'm not about it. But what I will talk about is the fact that clearly, as single women, single mothers, now more than ever, we need each other, we need community, we need to rise up. And this just gives me an opportunity to talk about what it is that I do and why I do what I do. I don't know if I've ever actually had a formal discussion about that and my motivations and whatever inside of my business and inside of my channel, inside of my content, inside of my podcast and so forth. Honestly, I'm so driven by a desire to help women rise up, specifically single women and single mothers, all women, of course. But I come from a place of course, being a single mother. I have been for nearly 10 years, raising my daughter, and now I'm also raising a son. So I see both sides of it. I see the pressures of wanting to raise good human beings in a crazy world, and just that responsibility to do a good job and feel like I'm doing a good job at the end of the day. And again, now more than ever, we need to rise up. We need more power. We need more money. We need more say. That. So my goal has always, first and foremost, been to help empower single mothers and single women rise above, up level their lives, stand in their power, feel empowered, just feel excited about life, find joy in your independence. Because again, let's just remember, it's only been about 50 years that women alone were allowed to have mortgages and credit cards and all of these things. Okay, 50 years, that's not a long time. And when I post things about that, people are flabbergasted. Okay, women are flabbergasted by that point. Okay, so it's important for us to take our power back. And again, this is not a political thing. This is just really about stepping into our power. I was talking about this, it's been 3-4 years now that I've really been talking about this. So it's incredibly important. And I want to build an army. I am building an army, one woman at a time, of just powerhouse women that show up and are authentic and unapologetic and know what we want and know what we deserve and are not taking any bullshit. And that's just the way I think it should be. Now, again, I'm raising a daughter who's gonna be 10, and she sees, like, she'll come home with stories and she's like, Mom, like this and this happened. And honestly, that's ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, but it's because when I was a kid, no one was saying, hey, it's kind of weird that Jimmy says weird shit like that and no one calls him out for it. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that my male teacher makes comments about the size of my body. That's kind of weird that everyone is kind of okay with that. And I will just drop a little story time in here. I was in high school. I think I was 15, and I had a male teacher, a man, grown ass man, okay, come up to me and approach me in the hallway. And he said, you know what, I had bleached blonde hair at the time. Maybe that'll help paint the image. But he goes, you really remind me of Bridget Bardot. And me being dumb and 15 and wanting to be, definitely pick me, a lot of daddy issues, a lot of, oh really, am I cute? I went, oh yeah, okay. Not realizing, because nobody talked about it, how inappropriate and disgusting and appalling and problematic that comment was. And for him to feel comfortable enough, because I wasn't empowered enough, to be like, excuse me, sir, you can go yourself. Okay. And reporting it to anybody, I just went home with that. Like, okay, I'm like, Bridget Bardot, a sex symbol of whatever decade that was. Wow, that's a compliment. Cute, as a 15-year-old child. Okay, so again, the female rage is raging, as it should be, right? Okay. So that just brings me to where I'm at. Now, I also get a ton of, hey, as a single mom by choice or by circumstance, by separation, whatever, It's not cool for you to bash on men. I'm not bashing on men. The thing is you get it twisted if you think that I am. I am bashing on inequality and an imbalance in the households. That's all I'm bashing on. Again, I've said it a bajillion times, and I'll say it a bajillion times more until everyone gets it. It's not a man thing, okay? It's it's not all men, whatever. It's not. There are fantastic men out there, and I've said it, and I will continue to believe it. And I do truly, in my heart of hearts, believe that there are tons of wonderful men out there. And if you want to find a partner, a life partner, a husband, or whatever, they exist by the plenty. Sure, yes, okay? But what I'm not about is having my girls, okay, going out there and settling for subpar men. Okay? That's where we're getting it like screwed up, okay? Because having a lovely partner who works and brings home money and also takes care of the home and the kids and the dog, and he mops the floor without having to be asked, is how it should be. And that's where people get upset. I'm like, why? That's what I'm trying to change, okay? Women being cool on their own, like, you got this, girl. And yes, you should be outsourcing. And yes, if you have the funds, which we're gonna help you have the funds inside of Empowered Mom Mindset, if that is not your situation right now, where you can outsource things like sweeping and mopping if you don't have the time to do it. You don't enjoy doing it. Like, why are we spending time doing things we don't like? We can change that, and I'm going to show you how. So get in there. But on the other side of things is, you know, when we have a partner, they're supposed to add to our lives. The same way women, wives, add to their husbands' lives by working, but also taking care of all the womanly duties of the home, which is nonsense. The reason why there were womanly duties, and I'm using air quotations if you're listening on the podcast, is because 50 years ago, women were not working a lot of the time outside of the house. Okay, the woman's work, again, we're heavy on the air quotations, would be home. She'd be cooking and cleaning and taking care of the house and taking care of the kids and yada, yada, yada. While the husband was bringing home all of the income. That was his role. He was bringing home the money. She was managing the home. Now, there's many of people or couples, whatever, nowadays that still fit into these gender roles, and they are both equally content with that. They are both happy, fulfilled in those roles. And that is great. If that works for you, that is great. And I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not being, passive aggressive. I think if you're happy in that, that is fantastic. That's all I want for all women, is for you to be happy. And if that role fulfills you and brings you joy, that is beautiful. That's what I want for you. That's great. And I'm here cheering you on. I swear to God, hand to my heart, I'm here for you, okay? I'm never going to pass judgment on someone who's finding joy in what they're doing. As long as you're not hurting anybody, girl, I'm rooting for you, okay? Now, what's not cool is staying in a situation where you are taken advantage of, okay, and you're still working 40, 50, 70-hour weeks, and then you're coming home, you're doing the cooking, you're expected to be doing the cleaning up, whether that's, spoken or unspoken, your husband's telling you to do it, or you expect it to be done by you, and everyone's expecting it to be done by you because it's been that way for centuries. It's not cool, it's not fair, it's not right. So if women are expected to be working, which, most of us want to be working, so it's not even like, oh, well, I have to. A lot of us love having a career, and honestly, I ultimately recommend all women have their own sources of income and their own careers and their own passions, and you stay true to them and keep those, because just because you're a mom and a wife, or mom and or wife, whatever, it's so important to stay you and to have your things and to have your own money, and your own freedom and your own independence inside of a partnership, I guess. Because so many women find themselves in really awful situations when they don't have that. So I always recommend to have your own thing going on, okay? But yeah, so when we're in situations where we're also working, we're also doing all the food, we're doing the laundry, we're doing the chores, we're doing the housekeeping, taking care of the kids, we're doing the school run, we're doing the lunches, we're doing groceries, we have to figure out what's everybody eating tonight. Oh shoot, he doesn't like this, and this one doesn't like mushrooms, and everyone, what did they ask me for? They wanted lasagna, and then I made something for the kids yesterday, they loved it, today they hate it, what am I gonna do? And all of that, and a lot of it is invisible, unspoken responsibility that falls on mom. Like, oh shoot, doctor's appointments. Oh my God, did they get their teeth cleaned this year? Oh my God, way to go, mom. I need to freaking book that. A lot of the times, not all of the times, a lot of the times that's just falling on mom. Okay, so that's where being a single mom by choice, and people get stuck on this, okay? When you're a single mom by choice, and especially as someone who's come from being a single mom by circumstance, where I was with a partner, parenting and whatever, a lot of it doesn't change. Now I'm ultimately finding myself much less stressed out. I'm still doing all the load falls on me, right? All the responsibility, financial, household, chores, school runs, all these things are still mine, without the addition of worrying about somebody else's need, another adult in the home's needs, and picking up after them, and what do they want for dinner, and all of these things, without any value being added to me, right? And to being myself, the women in the situation, being taken care of too. You get what I'm saying? So this is where I get a lot of confused comments or DMs from people that are like really offended by something that is incredibly not offensive. Truly, the only people that should be offended by it, or that would be, are people that are accepting that and are kind of upset about it and feel like, how do I get out of this? Hi, I'm here to help. Or men that are expecting the women in their lives, to wear all these hats while he's still wearing the same singular hat that he's worn for centuries. Not cool. We're not accepting it. It's a load of crap, and I'm not about it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So again, the lovely men, the lovely partners that carry some of the burden and that add value to their family and their wives or partners' lives, they're amazing. It's fantastic. Love them. It's great. I'm here for it. If I could squish their cheeks like an old grandma, I would, and just tell them that they're great and I love them and thank you. Keep going and taking care of my girls out there. Yes. Okay? Just to clear the confusion, because I'm so over it. Okay? Now, this is totally different. We're going to be talking about quickly. I've gotten a few DMs talking about what is life like as a single mom by choice when you have a baby, and maybe even in the delivery room. I've talked about this a couple of times, I believe. I talk about this in depth inside of Single Mom Mindset, the program. But again, for me, because I had a planned cesarean with Leo, I planned to have my mom with me because she's my mom. I'm lucky to have a pretty good relationship with my mom, and she's pretty on board with me being a single mom by choice. Took her some time, but we got there. And yeah, she was gladly in the room. She didn't want to look, because again, a C-section, you have like a big cover, so you can't see from shoulders down. So they're able to put the baby on your chest. Maybe it's boobs down. I don't remember now. It could be bubbies down. I'm not sure. Anyways, ish around here down, okay? And you can't see, just for what you could imagine. They're cutting you open and taking the baby out. So most people don't want to see what's happening. But yeah, my mom stayed at my head. She didn't want to see any of what was going on down there, understandably. And she was able to be a big part of it. Again, I've talked really in depth about this, I think just in a couple of episodes before, previous episodes, sorry. But yeah, was it any harder, any more sad, any more challenging than when I had my first delivery with my ex there, who's the father of my first child, my daughter? Honestly, again, this is so hard for someone who's not experienced both to really maybe understand. But I found round 2 easier. Not only had I gone through labor before, this is my second time, I kind of know what to expect. I had a planned cesarean. So again, I know I'm going in, I'm going to have a baby. I don't have to have hours and hours and hours of agonizing labor and contractions and all of that. And none of that happened. I didn't have some crazy, my water breaking story scenario. I didn't have any of that. Again, like, it took away so much of the fear, I guess, and the worry, because I knew kind of what to expect. I had been through a cesarean before. I was doing it again, except this time was going to be planned, so much less scary. Yeah, like, I don't know. So for me, my first, again, I was in labor for a long time, 20 plus hours. It was an emergency C-section because my daughter wasn't coming out, and a big whole thing. And then I was exhausted, and then my ex was there, and then he had his dad in the room when I came in, and he let other people hold my daughter when I wanted to be the first one to hold my daughter. I didn't get a chance to hold her because I was like in distress and all these things and everything that was going on medically. So they just like showed her to me, and that was it. And then everybody else got to hold her. So I kind of felt like my like bond to her was kind of taken away, and I was tired and haggard and hadn't eaten in however many freaking hours. I hadn't slept in however many freaking hours. I was just a mess. I was a mess because of the circumstances of my labor, I guess, and the delivery of my daughter. So it's so apples and oranges in a lot of ways, I guess is the only way I can say it. But that's why, again, I can't really compare it exactly because it's two totally different things. Because of the, planned part of the second one, and the fact that it was an emergency and it was crazy hectic, my first pregnancy. And I didn't know what to expect with the first, and it was like, oh my God. I remember walking through the hallway when I was like starting to be in labor and they were going to induce me. It was like, oh my God, like, wait a second. I'm going to have to push this being out of my body. Like, can I return? I don't want to do it. I'm scared. I don't want to. Like, you see all these horrible movies of like, and how horrible it is and whatever. But again, everyone tells you, and they're not lying, that it happens, and then you're like, okay, wait. And I had a horrible first delivery situation, okay? You've heard the story. Again, go back and watch, okay? But it was horrendous. And it was like, I don't want to, the whole thing, screaming, crying, crazy town. And then once I finally did hold her, and it was the next day, and I had slept maybe 4 hours, and I was kind of normal again, I had eaten again, and I was holding her, and it was like, I looked at my then fiance, and I was like, wait, I kind of think I could do it again. And he was like, what are you okay? Like, what is happening? So again, it's once you get to hold your little squishy baby, it's so weird, but that love and just holding them and like their little scrumptious little selves, it's all worth it. It truly is so worth it. The agonizing 20-something hours, the emergency C-section, the doctor was a dick, all of that, so worth it. So worth it. Gaining 50 plus pounds, having ankles the size of Texas, all of it was worth it, okay? Even in the horrible delivery that I had with my daughter. So, but yes, when I had Leo, my mom was there. It was a planned C-section. I kind of knew what to expect. So I had the baby car seat, had all those things ready. I had his room ready for when we would come home. Like I knew, okay, like I'm going to be giving birth, or I'm going to do the C-section. So he's going to be born in the morning because that's what we planned for, my doctor and I. So pretty early morning. I can't eat in the morning, but when I come, make sure you guys, when I'm clear to eat, you have a big old sandwich ready for me with deli meat, because I didn't eat deli meat throughout my pregnancy. It's not recommended. There have been new studies. I just liked to play it safe just in case. Personal choice. You can speak with your doctor about those things, and whatever feels right for you. No judgment here. But yeah, so I was like, you better have my best friend and my mom. I was like, whoever's there, okay, big ass deli sandwich. I just want all the meat that I have not eaten in 9 months. Make sure there's extra sauce on there and cheese and all the stuff, whatever. And it was just like, oh, I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, it was so good. I mean, the nurses were relatively great. Again, it was my doctor who did the C-section. She's a like rock star human being. I love her to death. So yeah, my experience truly was fantastic. And that might be so annoying because it's like, well, what do I learn from that? What you can take away from that is that you can have a really beautiful birth and delivery of your child as a single mom by choice. As long as you have one, even better if you have two really great people that are there to support you. Again, like my mom and my best friend. My best friend came, I think later in the day, the same day. He can't quote me because I think she slept there. My mom stayed with Riley, who's my older daughter, my first child, while I was in the hospital, because I had to stay in the hospital a little bit longer because Leo had jaundice. So, and I was recovering from a C-section. When it's a C-section, you have to stay there longer. They just have to make sure that you're okay and whatever. But yeah, again, like I can't really complain. I mean, the hospital food sucks. Whatever, do we expect any different? My care was wonderful. I loved the hospital that I delivered at. I obviously for safety reasons won't say what hospital that is, but it was really great. I don't know, it's so annoying. I feel like I should be like, there's so many things, you have no idea, but it was fantastic by comparison to the first time around because it was so much easier. It went smoothly. I kind of knew what to expect. I was less freaked out. I was more excited. I don't know what to really add. I mean, as long as you have like one person, and I will add this. Blah, 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 blah. I will add, there were times where I was there by myself. So like my mom and my best friend weren't there for like a few hours or whatever. My mom had to go home and shower or switch with my best friend who was watching Riley at the time, which if you have another child, that's probably going to be one of the harder parts to navigate, especially if you're having a cesarean or if there's any complications that require you to be in the hospital longer. That's a bit tough. And I also gave birth to Leo during like pandemic times. So you weren't allowed to have multiple people in the room. My daughter was not allowed to be in because she had been in contact with somebody who had COVID at the time. So they are really strict about that because you're coming into a floor where everybody's at risk. There's newborns and kids and newborn babies that are at risk or, maybe premature and all these things. So they were like, you can't just come in and out. It's crazy. So my daughter was not allowed to be there. So that kind of added a level of struggle, I guess. But again, I had my mom and my best friend who were able to help a ton, which is amazing. When people talk about a village, they're my village. They're two and they're amazing and they're always there for me when I need them and for my kids as well. So that's really great. So if you have, again, one or two people that can really be there for you, it's wonderful. But as I was trying to say before, that there were times when it was just me at the hospital with Leo. He was going through like a treatment because of the jaundice. And with that was a bit hard because again, I was recovering. It's really hard to get up, like you're in pain. They want you to get up and you should walk around, but your whole insides have been like stapled together. It's not very comfy. So that was hard, like getting in and out of bed, getting to him. He was being formula fed. I was breastfeeding and formula feeding. And then once he was in like the little machine under the lights, they recommended that I just bottle feed him at that time because taking him in and out is just going to prolong him needing the treatments and whatever and prolong the recovery process. So they wanted me to keep him in there as much as I could. So even feeding him while he was in like the thingy. So yeah, that kind of complicated things. So I would have to call the nurse's station to come bring it to me instead of being able to ask my mom or my bestie to go to the nurse's station to get the bottles. So, and I was not leaving him in the room and I was kind of scared to carry him all the way down the hallway or to push him in the thing all the way down the hallway just because like I was recovering and I'm all stitched up and that kind of freaked me out because I didn't want to drop him. Obviously, I didn't want to fall. It was a whole thing. So that I think, honestly, thinking back now, it's been so long, but thinking back, that was probably the most challenging, which if you look at things like the grand scheme of life and motherhood, that was nothing. Looking back now, I'm 3 years and a little bit into this as a single mom by choice with Leo anyways. And yeah, if that's the hardest thing girl, okay. Like I can't complain. And it was a beautiful experience. Again, if you have a medical staff that's on your side, that's rooting for you, which again, I was so lucky to have, I can't complain, and I would do it over 100 times that way compared to my labor and delivery and situation when I had my daughter. So with my first delivery. I mean, I think that about wraps it up. I hope I answered your questions with regards to that. If you have more questions, of course, I'm an open book. I'm here to help. Sometimes I forget, like, okay, what else did I experience? What else did I go through? Oh, like, and then you ask me questions in the DMs or whatever, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's so important to talk about. I forgot. So send me a DM if you don't want to drop a comment below. I completely understand. At Candace Catherine on all the socials. You can find me there. I have tons of free resources. I have just opened a 5-day free 5-day abundance challenge that kind of gives you insight into what to expect from Empowered Mom Mindset, what everything is about, kind of mixing in like this woo-woo mindset stuff and affirmations and whatever if you're new to that, with actual tangible things you can do in your day-to-day to really up-level your life. Because again, I said it at the front of this video that we are here creating an army of badass mothers who are abundant and are filled with joy and empowered and are taking no shit from anybody, okay, anymore, and are raising powerhouse kids to do the same. We're raising our boys to be good men, and we're raising our daughters to accept nothing less than a good man and to be a good woman herself. And if she needs to be her own good man, she's gonna do that too, like the rest of us, okay? Yeah, with that, I will say have a wonderful week, and I'm sending love to you, and tag your girls below, do the challenge together. Again, it's a free abundance challenge, it's a 5-day challenge. You show up, you do a little bit every single day, and you'll see how even these small little changes in your day-to-day life can make significant changes in your everyday, okay? Tag them, send it to them. You guys can do it together. It's amazing. If she sent it to you, she loves you, and I'm loving you, sending you so much love for the week ahead. Come back next week. Please comment, share, and subscribe, and come back next week. Love you. Bye.